Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital spoilers indicate that Josslyn Jax, Eden McCoy, is being trained for the WSB for a very specific job. It has not been mentioned what exact mission that Josslyn is being trained for, but it seems as though Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, had his eye on Josslyn for a very special reason. He believes that Josslyn is the best person to take this mission head-on. It appears that Brennan is in constant contact with Vaughn, Bryce Durfee, and has been having Josslyn's WSB training monitored. He recently told Vaughn that he wanted hourly updates. This would indicate that Brennan is very invested in making sure that Josslyn's training is going well. There have been hints that Josslyn has been training for something very specific. Vaughn has also been very hard on her and trying to motivate her to make sure that she is the right person for the job. More than likely, very soon, Josslyn will finish up her training. It seems that she is still close to Port Charles, and Brennan is nearby to ensure that training is completed timely. Vaughn has been very rigorous with her training, and she would likely finish up in the next few weeks. Vaughn would tell Brennan that Josslyn is ready, which will please him. Josslyn will indeed be proud of herself, and Brennan would congratulate her. Then, he would tell her why he wanted her in the first place, and what her first mission actually entails. There have been several hints that Jerry Jax, last played by Sebastian Rock, may be on his way back to Port Charles, as he may be the one who rigged Sonny's penthouse to explode. Carly Spencer, Laura Wright's recent polonium poisoning, was also a major clue, hinting that Jerry Jax is on his way back to the canvas. It is certainly possible that Josslyn is being trained to take down her uncle, and she would be shocked when Brennan tells her that this is her first mission with the WSB. Brennan would tell her that Jerry would never suspect that his own niece is involved in trying to take him down, and it couldn't be more perfect. Josslyn would be just as surprised, but most likely she would agree to do it because she knows her uncle's history. Timing is everything, and Josslyn would return to Port Charles from her supposed Easter Island trip around the same time that Jerry Jax has made his reappearance in Port Charles. Everyone knows that Jerry Jax is back with an agenda, and it would soon be known what he has already done. It is actually a brilliant plan that the WSB concocted, as Josslyn could get close to her uncle to try to figure out what his next move is. All the while, Jerry would be none the wiser that his niece is the one who is trying to take him down. The sun barely rose over Port Charles, casting long shadows over the streets. Inside the bustling General Hospital, the calm morning bustle of nurses and doctors was suddenly interrupted by the hurried footsteps of Josslyn Jax. She had been working tirelessly for months, putting in countless hours at the hospital, but today was different. Today was the day that would mark the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one she had never quite anticipated. Josslyn had always been aware of her family's ties to the world of international intrigue, but she had never fully appreciated just how far-reaching those connections could go. After all, her father, Jasper Jax, was no stranger to the complex world of the WSB, World Security Bureau. He was always secretive about his work, and Josslyn had often found herself both curious and frustrated by his cryptic remarks. But now, her curiosity would soon get the best of her. The WSB was about to pull her into a world of espionage, danger, and uncertainty. A world she was neither trained for nor fully prepared to navigate. It had all started innocently enough, at least on the surface. Josslyn had been working alongside her mother, Carly Corinthos, and her friends at the hospital, trying to help those in need. But when the WSB came calling, things shifted dramatically. They had approached her discreetly, offering her a role within their organization that she could not refuse. The allure of serving her country, of stepping into a role that would make her feel like she was making a real difference, was strong. Yet, Josslyn's initial enthusiasm was clouded by her anxiety and doubt. The first time the WSB had approached her, they had been careful with their words. They told her that they had been tracking her for some time, impressed by her quick thinking and adaptability. They wanted someone who could balance intelligence with compassion, a rare and invaluable trait. But despite their carefully crafted pitch, Josslyn couldn't shake the feeling that they had an agenda, one that didn't quite align with her own ambitions. Josslyn sat in the quiet hospital lounge now, her eyes fixed on the paperwork laid out before her. It was a contract, a new identity, an assignment. She had agreed to go through with the mission, but nothing could have prepared her for what was written on that document. Josslyn, a voice interrupted her thoughts. It was her mother, Carly, who had approached her cautiously, her face etched with concern. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Josslyn lifted her gaze, offering a weak smile, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I don't really have a choice, do I?" Carly folded her arms, taking a seat across from her daughter. "You always have a choice. Just remember, Joss, the WSB isn't like anything you've ever seen before. It's dangerous, and they won't hesitate to send you into situations that could change your life forever." Josslyn nodded slowly, the weight of her mother's words sinking in. She had heard rumors about the WSB's operations, missions that spanned the globe, secret meetings, life and death scenarios. It was a far cry from the quiet life she had once dreamed of, one filled with romance, family, and stability. But this was different. She couldn't explain it, but something about the mission called to her. That was when the call came in. The WSB agent, Victor Davis, whom Josslyn had met just a few days earlier, had requested her immediate presence at their headquarters. Her heart raced, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through her veins. She didn't know exactly what to expect, but whatever it was, she knew it was going to be big. When Josslyn arrived at the WSB facility, she was led through a series of secure hallways, her mind racing with possibilities. Victor, a seasoned WSB operative with a reputation for being both calm and calculating, was waiting for her in a sleek, high-tech briefing room. His face was unreadable, but his eyes held a glint of something she couldn't quite place. Anticipation, perhaps? "Josslyn," he greeted her with a polite nod. "I trust you're ready for your first mission." Her stomach churned with nerves, but she kept her composure. "I think so." Victor gestured for her to sit. "Good. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Your mission is critical. We need someone with your unique set of skills, someone who can blend in, gain trust, and gather information without raising suspicion. This will test everything you know." Josslyn blinked, trying to steady her breathing. "What exactly am I supposed to do?" Victor's lips curled into a slight smile, but it was cold. "Your mission is to infiltrate a powerful organization that is threatening global stability. The leader, a man named Rafael Duran, has been involved in several illicit operations across the globe, and he's become a significant threat to national security. We've tried to track him for years, but he's elusive. That's where you come in." Josslyn's breath caught in her throat. "Infiltrate? Are you asking me to go undercover?" Victor nodded. "Precisely. We need someone who can get close to him, someone who can gain his trust and gather intelligence on his operations. We believe he is preparing for something big, and we need to know what it is before it's too late." Josslyn felt the room spinning. This was no ordinary mission. She had heard stories of operatives going undercover, living among criminals and conspirators, risking their lives every day for the greater good. But never had she imagined she would be asked to take on such a responsibility. "What kind of cover will I have?" Josslyn asked, her voice shaking slightly. "You'll pose as a business consultant, someone with access to high-level meetings. You'll need to forge relationships with the key players in Duran's organization, particularly his inner circle. This is a long-term operation, Josslyn. It will require patience, discretion, and above all, the ability to keep your emotions in check." Josslyn swallowed hard. She wasn't sure what was worse: the idea of taking on such a dangerous assignment, or the fact that she would have to lie, manipulate, and deceive in order to do so. She had always prided herself on being honest and straightforward. But now, she was being thrust into a world where nothing was what it seemed. Victor leaned in slightly, his expression serious. "This is no small task. You will be in over your head, and there will be times when you'll question your decision to take this on. But you need to remember why you're doing this. You're doing it to protect innocent lives. You're doing it for your country, for your family, for the people who need you." Josslyn nodded slowly, her hands gripping the edge of the table. She had to do this. She couldn't back out now, not when the stakes were so high. "Understood," she said, her voice firm despite the fear coursing through her. Victor studied her for a moment before standing up. "Good. Your training will begin immediately. We've already set up your new identity. You'll be leaving Port Charles within the next 24 hours. Make no mistake, Josslyn. Once you're in, there's no going back. Josslyn stood up as well, her heart pounding in her chest. She wasn't sure whether she was ready for this, but she knew there was no turning back. She had been chosen for this mission, and she would do whatever it took to succeed. As she walked out of the briefing room, her mind was filled with a whirlwind of thoughts. She was going to have to leave everything she knew behind. Her family, her friends, her life in Port Charles. But more than that, she would be forced to confront a side of herself that she had never fully understood. Could she really do this? Could she live a double life, hiding her true intentions behind a carefully constructed mask? The road ahead was uncertain, and the risks were enormous. But one thing was clear. Josslyn Jax was about to enter a world she never imagined, and the person she would become along the way was anyone's guess. The days that followed were a blur of preparation. Josslyn underwent a crash course in undercover operations, learning everything from surveillance techniques to psychological manipulation. She was trained to handle firearms, to blend into various social settings, and to act on instinct when the situation required it. Her trainers, seasoned WSB operatives, were tough but fair, pushing her harder than she ever thought possible. As the clock ticked down to her departure, Josslyn found herself growing more conflicted. Every step she took seemed to distance her from the life she had known, from the people she loved. But there was no turning back now. She had made her choice. The night before her departure, Josslyn sat in her apartment, staring out at the city below. Her phone buzzed, and she looked down to see a message from her mother. "I'm proud of you, Joss. Just be careful, okay?" Josslyn swallowed the lump in her throat as she typed back a simple response. "I will, Mom. I promise." And with that, Josslyn Jax took her first steps into the unknown, unaware of the challenges, the heartbreak, and the danger that lay ahead. But one thing was certain: the world of the WSB would change her forever, and she would never be the same again. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our GH News 24 YouTube channel for more update news.